So it's already been a very interesting playoff so far, but today we are going to have our predictions for the rest of the playoffs. We saw the Warriors take down the Rockets, the Timberwolves take down Arman's Lakers, and the Suns were not in the playoffs. Oops, my bad. Almost forgot.
You forgot your
But
Heat. You forgot your Heat too.
Yeah.
yes, the
Didn't
Heat
mention them.
haphazardly fell out of the first round after going up against the
Swept.
Cavaliers.
Swept.
So,
Not fell out. Swept. Broomsticked out the first round.
today we're gonna give our predictions and also a couple of hot takes that we may have.
Let's start off with the series that's already started. Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. This one's a little bit difficult to judge. If Darius Garland is healthy, I think it's a no-brainer. Cleveland takes it. There has been issues, worries about his toe, and that was evident in game one where Indiana came out on top. That's a tough one to judge because it's not the healthy Cavs team, but I am still going to take the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll click. I don't think Indiana's overrated. I don't think Tyrese Halliburton's overrated. However, I don't think they're good enough to get through to the Eastern Conference Finals. Give me the Cavs in 7.
A safe choice in what I believe is probably the right choice. We saw in game one, obviously the Pacers were able to steal it, but they didn't have Garland. And I also really thought in watching that game, the Cavs played into the Pacers' hand. When you play a fast-paced game, obviously the Pacers are going to be at their best. They're going to play their best. But I think if they slow it down and potentially if Garland comes back as well, although I don't think it's necessary, I think the Cavs are going to take this series. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Too much size, too much presence down low. Eventually, the Pacers are going to have a bad shooting game. I'm taking the Cavs over the Pacers in 6 games. No-brainer.
No brainer for a series that this is the only at the time of us recording. It's the only series that has already started, and we're mid game. It's 89-86 as we're recording this. Celtics over the Knicks right now, but they're in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, so that game's still up for grabs. Saying it's a no-brainer when the other team, the team that you're not picking, the Pacers, already won their game, feels a little disrespectful. I'm obviously. Not obviously, but I am going to agree. I am going to take the Cavs. I am going to take the Cavs over the Pacers in 6. But I could see them pushing them to 7, as Zach said. I could see them pushing them to 7, as Zach said. But a game that's like a series that's going to 6 or 7, I don't necessarily think is a no-brainer, especially when one game has already been won. I think the big storyline of this series is that the Cavs are just going to overwhelm them. I do think, like you said, they need to slow the game down. You need to let your bigs really dominate the way that they can, and let Evan Mobley be a defensive force in the half court like defense, like he can be.
Future top 5.
No, absolutely
top 5.
not. No.
Yeah.
Top 10 maybe, not top 5.
Top 5. Top 5. Top 5. Top 5. Top 5.
And your other top 5 players, he's on the plane headed to Cancun at the moment.
Oh well, that was top 6.
Actually, he's not top 5. He's top 6. So Zach, I'm not sure who you're talking about. I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Such a difference.
One's top 5 and one top 6. So yes, there is a difference.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So you're saying Evan Mobley is going to have like a clear-cut distinction between talent between him and Amin Thompson in 5 years? Like they can't be interchangeable?
Let me ask you something. Is there a difference between 5 and 6?
Weren't you the one saying that the
Slightly,
rankings didn't really matter at all? In the video?
When did I say that?
In the
When did I
video,
say that?
I can play it back for you. I promise you. You said that in the video.
Hey, I didn't say that.
Because at number 9, I do have Evan Mobley.
Grilling me for having Mobley 5 and then be like, oh yeah, I have him 9. It's just like, we're talking about 5 years from now, bro. So the discrepancy of a couple of spots is like, bro, it's 5 years from now.
Oh, thank you for the clip right there. Thank you for the clip right there. I'm playing it right after you just said that. Because I know it. I edited that video. I watched that maybe 10 times. I know you said that.
If you know the answer to if there's a difference between 5 and 6, then you have your answer. That's all I'm gonna say.
Your argument was basically that the rankings don't matter at all because like me having Evan Mobley at 9 and then you having Evan Mobley at 5, you were saying that's not that big of a difference. Why were you getting mad at me for having him at 5?
Got him.
Continuing on. Continuing on.
What I was saying though, I think the big storyline of the coming out of the series is that Halliburton, even though they will lose the series, in my prediction, I think Halliburton proves that he is at the very least not not the most overrated player in the league, and
Front runner.
not a front runner because obviously, I mean, we'll see how the series plays out. But my prediction is that he proves he's not an overrated front running player, and he's a arguably, if not definitively after the series, top 20 player.
I think that argument could have been made already. I'm not going to lie to you. He's not flashy. There's nothing to his game that is going to really make highlight reels, but he's consistent.
He definitely is flashy. He be doing extra stuff with his passes sometimes.
Yeah, but he's not like the classic.
there.
He's not the classic flashy player where that's like all he does, and like that's the main part of his game is just having highlights. Like White Chocolate, Jason Williams. That's a lot of what he was. Like he was a good, solid player, but he wasn't a star. He just had like those flashy plays. Halliburton is legitimately like the best player on his team. What do you mean? You don't think he's the best player on his own team, Cam?
I think Siakam might be a little bit better.
No.
I don't think it's a large gap, but I think Siakam might be a little bit better.
I think it is a large gap, and I think Siakam's on the other end of that.
Yeah, to me, it's maybe not as large as Zach is portraying it, but it is like sizable. I think it's definitive that Halliburton's the best player on that team.
Yes, that's a clear cut. I don't think it's a 1A, 1B scenario.
No, I don't think so. It's
Now,
not like
is Siakam the 2 for sure? Yeah, but it's not like it could be like it is. It's a definitive. Tyrese Halliburton's the number 1 option.
it's not like a De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis thing when they were on the Kings together. Like that, it's clear Halliburton's the best player on that team.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. All right, but moving on from that, because we all have the Cavs winning that series either in 6 or in 7. So we're expecting a good series, but expecting Cleveland to come out of it, even though they lost game 1. Let's go to the other series that has started, even though we don't know the result of game 1 yet. The teams that are playing right now, the Knicks and the Cavs. The Knicks and the... What's wrong with me? The Knicks and the Celtics.
And the Celtics. The Knicks and the Celtics.
The Knicks and the Celtics, yes. Thank you, Cam. I'm sick, if you couldn't tell by my voice. So if I'm a little loopy, misspeaking here and there, that's why.
That's why we're here. We got you. As Arman coughs up his lung.
Yeah, while I get my lung back, Cam, why don't you tell me your prediction?
I think... Whew, as much as it pains me to say, I'm going to take the Celtics over the Knicks in 6 games. And again, it's not a no-brainer for me. It's no question. The reason is because I think much like the Pacers, the Knicks are a offensive-driven team. And in slower games where it takes a lot of defense, I think Celtics have them beat by a mile. They have the personnel. They have the identity. They've always been a great team on both sides of the floor. The Knicks, however, have not been. And why? It's hard to tell because you've got guys like Mitchell Robinson who can protect the paint. You've got Anunoby. You've got the alleged supposed to be Defensive Player of the Year, Mikal Bridges, according to Zach. But for whatever reason, it has not translated to a great defensive team. And I think that's what is going to be what limits them significantly in this series. Now, if you're talking late game, who's the best closer? I think the Knicks have the best closer, but they have to have the lead to begin with. And I think their defense impacts that.
This prediction's in flux right now because, I mean, I thought it was secure with how the game was going, like, at the half. They were midway through the third quarter. The Celtics were up by like 20. Right now, they're down by 3 with 4 minutes left. So I really, I don't know. I'm still, no matter...
That take could not have been more opposite. That take could not have been more opposite than what he just said because they just It's all right. Go ahead, Arman.
We'll see. I still think even if the Knicks win this game 1, I'm going to pick the Celtics. If the Celtics were leading in the game right now, I think I would have gone 5. But the fact that they're losing right now, I'm going to take the Celtics over the Knicks in 6 for the depth that they have on top of the superstar power that they have with Tatum and Jaylen Brown at the top. Obviously, you have the depth of guys like Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, who's really been ascending and been proving that he's more than just a role player, but like an impact player for them. But I really think that, and we can. I might as well get my bold prediction number 1 out of the way here because it affects this series. And while we're on the topic of the Knicks, we might as well. My bold prediction number 1, scapegoat for the New York Knicks when they lose in the playoffs. The scapegoat's going to be Mikal Bridges. And right now, with the performance that he's had in this game, even though they might win this game, it's kind of proven to be true. He's had what? Let me look. 5 points. Okay, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Really good. But 5 points in 43 minutes is not what they were expecting from Mikal Bridges. You know how New York is. I think they always try to find a scapegoat, and I think it's going to be Mikal Bridges. In that case, I think we might see a few burned jerseys on the sidewalk, but that's bold prediction. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen, but got to reach a little bit for a bold prediction.
And I don't blame you. I feel like Mikal Bridges has always been the elephant in the room in terms of the Knicks. The way people perceive them underperforming, I feel like a lot of people would have thought they would be the second seed. They would be more competitive against a lot of these contenders, and they haven't been. And I feel like Mikal Bridges has been at the center of that. I mean, at the beginning of the season, his shot looked so funky, people were concerned if he'd be able to make an open three-pointer. So I think he as a player has changed a lot, and it hasn't been for the good.
I don't know if it's fair to judge that because of the fluctuation of his career. I mean, when you look back when he was in Phoenix, granted he was young, but he wasn't ever. It was rare that he would be a leading scorer. It was rare that he was our dependent go-to to score the basketball. And when he went to Brooklyn, he kind of got promoted to that. And I think we're kind of seeing him go back to the player that he once was when he got into the league, of being the third option on a team. So if people are expecting Brooklyn production, he's not in the scenario where he's getting the same amount of shots. He doesn't have the same volume. You're not going to get the same numbers. So I don't know if it's fair to put everything on Mikal's shoulders. But with that being said, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to take the Knicks over the Celtics in 6. I think New York has
not even in 7,
proven
in
enough.
6.
No, I know. I think New York has proven enough that they really are. If they can put it together, they are a really, really complete team. I don't know what Cameron's talking about of them being a offensive-oriented team. They have OG Anunoby, they have Mikal Bridges, they have Josh Hart, who are all defensive players, 3-and-D guys.
And they still haven't been good on defense.
They overcame a 20-point deficit against the quote-unquote best team in the NBA out of the East. So they're doing something right. If this goes to 7, am I surprised? No. But I think New York, especially if they take game 1, I don't know what the update it is. They're down 1 right now, so this one's going to be a close one to finish. So if they can take 1, it goes to 6.
I think I understand they won in their first round matchup, and winning in the playoffs is hard. I'm not going to take that away from them. But if anything, their first round against the Pistons really made me question them more than I was going into the playoffs, because they struggled every game. You could argue one of those games should have gone to the Pistons anyways because of the call that ended up happening at the end of the game that went against the Pistons. I can't remember whether it was game 3 or game 4, but it was one of those. The Pistons played well and played them close. And, for a young team to do that, a team that was one of the worst teams of all time last year, to get Cade and to ascend, and like you're struggling with that team. I'm not taking anything away from the Pistons, but you struggled with the Pistons, who are just up and coming. I think that says something about their defense, like Cam said. I know they have some defensive-oriented players, but with Karl Anthony Towns at the 5, they are susceptible to a lot of teams. But going back to what you were saying about Mikal Bridges, I do agree that it is unfair, and I'm not saying that he's going to get scapegoated fairly for being the reason why the Knicks lost. But I think because of the trade package that the Knicks gave up, unfairly, that's putting that expectation on Mikal Bridges whether that is the player he is or not, which I don't think that should be who he is. I think he's a better player being that third option, being more of a 3-and-D guy.
Mhm.
But because of what they gave up, that's the expectation that Knicks fans are going to have. And I think that's the expectation that the organization had. And he's not going to live up to that. And so I think he's going to get scapegoated for that, unfortunately.
It's tied up 100 all.
100 all?
Oh,
Okay. This is a great time for us to be talking about this. This is like down to the wire.
This is a fantastic time. I don't disagree with your take. I do think New York struggled against Detroit. But the Knicks, to me, are kind of that team that, yeah, buddy, we know. You're late. I wasn't talking at all.
You're saying
I think the Knicks have kind of always been that team, though, that plays to the level of talent that they're playing against. Now, is that what they should be doing? No. If you're better than a team, you should put your foot on their neck. And they didn't do that with Detroit. I think you can kind of see that now throughout the year of struggling against teams that aren't that good and then beating teams that are the best at the top of their standings, whether it be the Cavs, whether it be the Celtics.
That was the opposite of the story of the team, man. They could not beat the good teams. Like you look
They
at
had the worst percentage of like a top 3 seed against other top 3 seeds.
Yeah, I think they were winless against the Celtics, winless against the Cavs, winless against the Thunder. 5.5 left in the game, 100 all in this game 1 matchup of the Boston-New York series that we're talking about right now. Really, it's kind of been what we were talking about. 2 for 11 for Mikal Bridges from the field. We could also look at the efficiency for the Celtics. 6 for 20 for Tatum from the field, 6 for 18 from Jaylen Brown, 6 for 17 from Derek White. Really has not been their best game. Are you going to see them shoot like that for the rest of the series?
Probably not.
Probably not. And the fact that they could still win this game and they're shooting that poorly, I know that shouldn't be like everything is like, oh, they shot poorly. I think the Celtics are going to win the series because they shot poorly, but they're probably not going to shoot this poorly for the rest of the series. If everything else holds up the same, I think that leans in the Celtics' favor.
Ooh.
Missed the shot? Okay.
Damn.
So they're going to OT?
Going to OT.
We were hoping that it would end right there and we'd be able to know the result while we were recording this, like, and focusing on the segment. The game will end while we're recording this, so we'll update you on that when it gets there. But we'll move on to the next one. So for me and Cam, our predictions of the Eastern Conference Finals is already set with the Celtics and the Cavs. Zach's Eastern Conference Finals is the Knicks and the Cavs. We'll move on to the West now, the 1-4 matchup of the Thunder and the Nuggets, who will be playing tonight.
It's so hard for this series, but I'm going to say the Thunder in 5 games.
Hard for this series, but you in 5? Why was it hard?
It's not hard
because the Thunder, I feel like, I mean, not the Thunder, the Knicks. Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
I'm the sick one, dude.
The Nuggets, the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, my brain is sick. Okay, the Denver Nuggets. I feel like the role players have showed up a little bit more in some games. I mean, Murray had 43 one game, right? So if we're seeing vintage Jamal Murray the way we have seen him in a lot of other big playoff series, I feel like this could be a series where it extends. If he plays well, Christian Brown can give you 16, Porter can give you something similar, Aaron Gordon the same. I feel like they can win 2 or 3 games. But if they don't, which I feel like is not unlikely, then it ends in 5. But I feel like the likelihood of them having great games every game is not good. And so because of that, I feel like the Thunder can win this in 5 games because they have the best defense. They have the best second best closer. They have a great big man that will make it hard for Jokic.
I'm going to take the Thunder in 6 over the Nuggets. I think Jokic is, regardless of everything else, Jokic is good enough to get you 1 or 2 games just on his own, just from his talent, and because of the playoff experience that he has versus the Thunder. I know the Thunder went deep last year, but I do think Jokic is going to be able to. I really don't know how much of a problem Chet is going to be for Jokic. I know he's a good defender. Obviously, he's a good defender, but Jokic is such a big body versus him that I don't know that he's going to give him as much trouble as maybe we think he is. However, I just think Oklahoma City is going to overwhelm them in the other games. They're just not going to have the role players to keep up with everybody else that OKC has outside of Shea, outside of their top player. The Nuggets just don't have what it takes to compete with that. But Jokic is just that good that he's going to get you one or two, like he proved against the Clippers. I think the Clippers were overall a much better team, top to bottom, but Jokic is just that good. And the inconsistency of the Clippers is what really doomed them with Harden and Kawhi. Shea's Mr. Consistent. So I'm going to take the Thunder in 6.
I agree with that. I think Jokic is good enough to get you a couple games. In this situation, I'm not going to give him as much credit as you do, Arman. I'm going to take the Thunder over the Nuggets in 5. I side with Cameron on that one. I think Jokic will be able to steal one, but I mean, what's kind of understood doesn't need to be explained. OKC has top 2 player in the league, and Denver has the other one. So it's going to be a fun series to see. I think a lot of whoever comes out on top is going to win a lot of voters who votes that don't really matter of who really is the MVP of the league this year. Bold take. I don't even know if this is a bold take. I think this is expected, but I do expect, despite losing, I do expect Nikola Jokic to outperform Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just in the overall sense of it, because I think he does have an easier matchup when it comes to the offensive side. I don't know if Chet will be able to contain him. Nobody's figured out Nikola Jokic, and he's going to do everything he can to get his team going and try and get a win. So I think he might average a triple-double in this series. As simple as that.
You think you think the Thunder experiment with a double big lineup to disrupt Jokic?
No, you have to throw different schemes at him. I think you throw J-Dub down there to try and get in his way a little bit and help Chet put on the backside in case Jokic spins around, which he's going to. But if you do that, you're going to need Christian Brown to be able to hit threes consistently. You're going to need Jamal Murray to actually be Jamal Murray, which he hasn't been. So I think it's kind of gone back to what we talked about a lot with Denver's lack of three-point shooting consistency. I think the Thunder are going to be able to exploit that. If MPJ's off the floor, I'm not worried about anybody else from beyond the arc.
They're down by 1. Gordon got it.
I'm really not. I might run a 2-3 and just literally run a box and one on Jokic, or run a 2-3 and just let him shoot. But one of those games, Nicola's going to come out, but it won't be enough. If it might go to 4. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's a crazy take to say they might sweep them, but the Thunder are like that, bro. They really are.
I don't think it's crazy to say that, honestly. I really don't. And I don't think your bold prediction is crazy either. I think, if anything, I would expect it, because Jokic is going to have to make it a competitive series, he's going to have to outperform Shai. Shai has other guys he can rely on. Jokic just does not.
And I think that's where my in 5 comes from, and why I said it's so hard, because if the others don't show up, it's going to be a short series. It really is.
But I do think Jokic is going to have a good series because, I mean, like Zach said, no one's figured out how to guard him. People were coming into this series against the Clippers. They were saying, "Oh, Ivica Zubac is the best defender against Nikola Jokic in the league," and that might be true. But look what happened; they won in 7. So I don't really think Chet is going to give him all that much problems.
102-100 Knicks. Also, with that, kind of going back, you can throw this in, or we can talk about it more later once we know the finals of it. The Knicks are 27-14 at home. MSG is a special place to play. If they take Game 1 in Boston, the Celtics are in trouble. They are in trouble. It's going to be hard to go into Madison Square Garden and get a win. It always is.
No, I don't think it'll be an issue for them. I really don't.
It's off to Brown. Bridges there. They hold it. They trample. It's over. The Knicks have won. What a comeback!
It's hard. That's one of the hardest places to, especially playoff time. That's hard.
When have they, like in the past, in your or any of our lifetimes, when have they like had a playoff atmosphere that's like crazy and so disrupting? It hasn't been since Reggie Miller was still playing that was a thing, man.
That's not true. That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true. MSG came out to see Melo all the time.
Yeah, and what happened? What happened when they got
in the first round, and then they got bounced out.
I want to look.
I don't know the year. Knicks Bulls.
Knicks
whatever that series was.
Playoff series history. Zach, what year were you born? 2002?
Yep.
Okay. 2002, missed playoffs, then missed playoffs. Then they lost in the Eastern Conference first round. Missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs. Lost in the first round. Lost in the first round. Ooh, wow.
That's Melo.
This is 2011 now.
This is Melo time.
Yeah, this is 2011. Lost in the first round. 2012. 2013, oh, wow, they won in the first round, and then they lost in the second round. Miss playoffs, miss playoffs, miss playoffs, miss playoffs, miss playoffs, miss playoffs, miss playoffs. Randall gets there, lost in the first round. Miss playoffs. Brunson gets there. They won a round and then lost in the semifinals. And then the next year, the same thing. And then looks like the same thing's going to happen this year. So I don't know what you're remembering here. Because the last time that they
special place.
They have not been to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000 and have not been to the finals since 1999.
Jesus Christ.
Give me the Knicks in 6, man. I don't care. I don't care what y'all talking about. Knicks in 6.
I'm just happy I'm not going to be the one getting grilled for my bad take. So it feels nice.
It's not looking bad
it
for
a bad
them right
take?
now. They're up 108, 105 right now over the Celtics. Anyways, we're all in agreement on the Thunder and the one we were just talking about, the Thunder and the Nuggets. We're all in agreement there. Let's see about this 6-7 matchup, the really only weird matchup that isn't 1v4 or 2-3. Timberwolves versus Warriors.
It's going to be a great series. My prediction was that the Houston Rockets were going to be a first-round exit. Clearly were.
Mine too.
And that wasn't even a bold prediction. I think we all saw that coming. With that being said,
anyways,
Steph Curry had a bad first half, got it back together. You're going to need Buddy Hield to shoot 9 for 11 from 3 every single
game.
night if you have a chance to get past Minnesota. That will not be happening. I love Buddy Hield. I think Jimmy Butler's added great defense to this team. Draymond made Şengün look like he was Yusuf Nurkic. So it was a good series. But time is of the essence. Chef's running out of time. And there's a new face of the NBA that is putting down
Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
That is
Anthony
putting
Edwards
legends down in the first round. Now, Arman, you know me. I'm a Le Glazer myself, and I watched Anthony Edwards put KD down in 4 games in the first round, and now he put down Braun. Chef Curry is the next legend on that list. Now, granted, this won't be a first round exit, so it won't be to the extent of that, but he's gonna run into the same buzzsaw that Kevin Durant and LeBron James have. I'm going to take the Timberwolves over the Warriors in 6.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Could not have said it better myself. The only thing is, Ant has been like Thanos, and he's collecting legends on his gauntlet. And the light skin from Golden State is the third one that he's going to have, and he's about to take it away. I mean, Curry would literally need to play like Jesus took over his body.
Timberwolves are that good, huh?
No, the Warriors are that bad. The Warriors are that bad.
I mean, they since they traded for Jimmy Butler, they've been one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, but I think they have a lot of deficits. I think Draymond is a good defender, but the Wolves are too big. You saw what Gobert did against the Lakers. And on top of that, they have shooting. They have more threats. So when you have to rotate out and they miss, Gobert is going to be under the basket by himself. And that's going to kill the Warriors.
Do you really think that lowly of your Rockets is that the Warriors suck now, but they still beat the Rockets in 7?
It's less that we suck. It's just we don't have shooting. If we had shooting,
that sounds like
we would have won in 6 games.
So you're bad. So you're bad.
Yeah, so you're trash.
So you're bad. We're not bad. We just don't have talent.
We're not bad. We're not bad. We just can't do the most fundamental thing, the most fundamental part of basketball, shoot the ball.
Yeah, we're not a bad team. We just can't do the thing that ultimately wins you games. So, but if we could do that, we would. Like if the Suns had defense, oh my God, we would be so good.
If we could put the ball in the basket, the thing that counts for points on the scoreboard, we'd actually be great.
Jaylen Brown turned it over. It's over. 1-0 Knicks.
Oh, man. Okay. So Zach's prediction is starting off on the right foot. Ooh. He picked the Knicks. And that honestly is that is going to be the only disagreement that we have. I want to make it more interesting here and pick the Warriors, but if I'm going with my head, I think watching that series against the Warriors, what gave them the most trouble was when the Rockets were consistent on offense and were playing their double big lineup. The Warriors did not handle that double big lineup of Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün well at all. And the only thing that cost the Rockets that series was that in that last game, they just could not score the ball in that second half. And for me, when you have a superstar, the one thing that the Rockets are missing right now, when you have a superstar that when you get in those offensive droughts can just score the ball and will you to buckets anyways, like Anthony Edwards, I think if you have that and the combination of that double big size that the Timberwolves have with Gobert and with
Randall.
Well, Randall, yes.
Or Reed.
Yeah, Reed. That was the name I was looking
he's
for.
Talking about Big Jelly Nas Reed.
Yeah, I was looking for Nas Reed. The sick brain is just making me blank. But with Gobert and either Randall or Nas Reed, when you have those guys and have Anthony Edwards who can keep the offense flowing, even if the rest of the guys aren't scoring, I think that's going to give the Warriors a lot of trouble. That was their nightmare, and that's the reason why the Rockets were able to push the series to 7 in the first place. And I think that's going to be the reason why I'm going to take the Timberwolves in. I was gonna go a little brave, but I'm gonna pull back a little bit. I'm gonna go Timberwolves over the Warriors in 6 games. Like you guys, I believe.
Consensus.
Yeah.
Consensus. Hey.
Yeah.
So
I want to say 5. I really do. I really do want to say 5.
I was about to.
But it's still Chef Curry. It's still Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Right.
I can't disrespect them. I think they'll be able to squeeze a couple out. But
and I did actually. The reason I pulled back. The reason I pulled back, was the fact that I saw a stat yesterday actually that Stephen Curry has never lost a playoff series in less than 6 games. He has always either pushed it to 6 or 7 or won the series.
He's also had a knockdown consistent shooter next to him. Anybody he's that consistent is he's gonna have to be if they want any chance of winning. He's going to be a huge X factor. Butler's going to get the attention. He's going to have to exhaust himself a little bit more on defense because I'm assuming he's going to get that Anthony Edwards matchup.
I think he'll have a good series, but I just don't know that he has that like willing the team to victory like he did for that 2022 run. So I like our picks. We have a consensus basically all throughout the second round except for that Knicks-Celtics matchup where Zach picked the Knicks, which is looking like a good matchup, looking like a good pick with them winning 108 to 105 in game 1 here. But moving on to the second round, for me and Cam, the matchup is going to be Cavs-Celtics. For Zach, it's going to be Cavs-Knicks. Why don't you start it off, Zach, because you're a little different from us.
To follow my same logic, if it was the Cavs-Celtics in that matchup, I would have picked Boston. I think Boston has the depth to beat Cleveland in the sense of the same reasons that you guys were picking Boston to beat the Knicks. However, I mean, in that same breath, if it is Cleveland and the Knicks, I am going to take the Knicks. That matchup, I think they're favorable. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have to be great on the outside. I think he's a good enough defender to keep Jared Allen contained. Now, will OG Anunoby be able to guard Evan Mobley? No. So, but I'm not really worried about Mobley's scoring abilities to an extent where I think he can overtake them and take them to the NBA Finals. So, for the reasons why I took the Knicks over the Celtics are very similar on why I would take the Knicks over the Cavs. So, if that's the series, I got the Knicks over the Cavaliers in 6 games.
So, to not only not have the Celtics there, you're taking the Knicks over the Cavs.
To go to the finals for the first time in 30 years? 26.
26, but yeah.
26, but
yeah, the age of me. Like when I was born was the last time they were in the finals.
You're older than that.
I'm not. But man, I just don't see it with this Knicks team.
Tatum maneuvering. Oh, the ball knocked away. Another great defensive play for the Knicks. They've won it. New York has gone up 2 games to none.
To go through not only the Celtics, but to go through the Cavs, who were the best team in the East all year long. I just don't know who they're going to have to be able to guard Mitchell, unless are you saying that that's Mikal is going to be guarding him?
It's probably more of I think that's a Josh Hart kind of matchup. Maybe okay. Mikal. I think OG is going to have to be more big man oriented, whether that's switching off to help on Allen or getting the Mobley matchup. So I think Mikal will probably have the Mitchell or Hart kind of switch off. I doubt, and I wouldn't put Jalen Brunson on Donovan Mitchell unless you really do want to lose.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think offensively, Brunson and Mitchell are gonna like cancel each other out as far as like offensive points. Game to game, they're gonna be like around the same. They're gonna be the ones willing the offensive machine. I don't know. I could see Karl Anthony Towns going off in certain games, but I just don't know that you're going to get that consistently from OG the way he did tonight in this game one versus the Celtics. The offensive output he's going to put out, and then Mikal Bridges, the struggles he's had offensively. I just don't know that you're going to get enough from them to compete with what you're going to get with a healthy Garland, if that's the case, and with a Evan Mobley and, the points that Jared Allen is still going to be able to give you, as well as DeAndre Hunter.
I think the Cavs have like 5 solid scoring options. I mean, you look at Mitchell, you look at Garland, you have Mobley, and then off the bench you have DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome. So I think with those guys, you're overwhelmingly more equipped for a high scoring game. And then again, with that double big lineup, I think the Knicks are going to struggle with that. Now I do agree with you, Arman. I don't think OG Anunoby can keep that scoring pace for the whole series, unless, of course, the Knicks can get Suni Lee. Then I think the Knicks got that series in the bag. I think that's an easy in 5.
I didn't think about the X factor. You're right. Okay, I might have to rethink that one.
No.
So if they can get Suni Lee's sideline, Knicks in 5.
If they can get Suni Lee sidelined, they should sign you. I think you'd be going crazy if they signed her.
Yeah, hey Cameron, can you elaborate on why he would joke about that? What is it about Suni Lee you like so much?
Yeah.
It's about what OG Anunoby likes about Suni Lee. That man was going stupid when she was sidelined.
No, we asked about you.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with OG Anunoby. This has everything to do. No, we did. We said it about you.
Yeah.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you.
I mean, last time we were at the park together, all I had to do was pull up a picture of her, and you pulled up for 40.
Hey, man, I feel motivated by, those with good energy. And I feel like, Suni Lee is one of those with good energy. That's really what it is.
Zach, can you think of
you got
another?
Good energy, I feel it, and I can just...
Zach, do you have another example of a person who has good energy that like Cam would really go off for?
This is a family show, so not off the top of my head. I don't.
What does that mean? Our Eastern Conference final winner is going to be different from Zach's because Zach is sending the Knicks to the finals. So whatever finals matchup me and Cam end up with, whether it's the same or different, is going to be different than Zach's. Cam, why don't you tell me who's going to be representing the East in the finals?
It's going to be the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. And in that series, they've gotten a lot of disrespect, but I'm taking the Cavaliers in a tough, fought-out series in 7 games.
What gives them the edge?
I just don't think the Knicks have been... I mean, oh my God. I just don't think the Celtics have been as sharp this year. I don't think they have played as well. I think they've played well enough to be the Knicks. But I think the Cavaliers are just on a different level. They have, I mentioned it earlier, they have strong scoring off the bench. They have strong defending off the bench. And they have that double big lineup that I think could create some issues for the Celtics. Now, is it going to be easy? Is it going to be, the Cavaliers are clearly better? No. But I think there's going to be a lot of close games, and that's going to play a major factor. Obviously, if Garland isn't healthy, then I think that might sway toward the Celtics. But I think if they have their whole team, I can't see the Cavaliers not coming away with the victory in that series.
I'm going to agree on the series length. I think it goes 7, but I am going to take the Celtics over the Cavs in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to be my prediction. I think, like you said, it'll be a hard-fought series. This is going to be like the series I'm most looking forward to. I just think that the Celtics, and it's surprising that they haven't woken up yet, but they still are kind of sleepwalking right now. And I think they need a wake-up call. And who knows, this game 1, especially after losing Porzingis for I don't even know how long because I didn't see the injury. It might be a one-game thing. He might be out for the playoffs. I don't know. But I think that might be the wake-up call that they need. Porzingis is going to be an X factor in that series. So if he's out for an extended period of time, I think that might actually sway how I feel about that series. I'm going into it thinking that he's going to be back and going to be ready and going to be healthy. If Porzingis is healthy for that, I think the Celtics pull it out. If he's not, I think they're actually in a legitimate amount of trouble. And if Porzingis is not ready to go for that series, I would take the Cavs. But as it stands right now, I'm going to take the Celtics in 7.
So I mean, we disagree, but I feel like both of us are in agreement that however that series goes, it's going to be a nail biter. It's going to be extremely close.
Absolutely, and both of us are in agreement that the Knicks are not getting that far. So
Not a chance.
we can get a little handshake going with them.
Like I said, if it was Boston and Cleveland, I would take Boston. I would have Boston going to the NBA Finals. However, I think New York would take care of Boston. I think they can take care of Cleveland as well. In the same breath, if this was your matchup, your guys' Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics would be advancing to me. I would take the Celtics in 7. But I had the Knicks beating the Celtics. So in the same breath, I'm going to have the Knicks beating the Cavs.
I just don't see it with the Knicks. I think whether it was the Celtics or the Cavs, I think the Knicks lose both series.
My hot take of the playoffs is if Suni Lee is on the sideline, then the Knicks may just win the championship. It may happen.
Okay.
It may happen.
Just make her, give her a 10-day contract. Double 10-day contract.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, God.
It'd be the best investment the Knicks ever made.
Then they need to get you out there right after that.
Besides getting Jalen Brunson for $25 million, that was a pretty good investment. Signing to a 4-year
Suni Lee would be
110.
better. Suni Lee would be better.
Could you imagine Cam going how crazy he would go if it's Suni Lee on one side and then SZA on the other sideline? Bro would be out of his mind. 50-point game, all series.
Yeah, 90 shots.
Hey, 45 makes 50 points. That's not actually no. That's not math. Nah, I can do it in 70. I can do it in 70.
Are you going 20 for 70?
20.
I'm assuming some of these are gonna be threes.
And my mid-range merchant now. I changed up my game a little bit.
Yeah. All right, sit down, DeMar DeRozan. Take a seat.
I feel like that is how he plays.
Cameron plays like Yogi Ferrell. Speaking of 10-day contracts.
That's crazy.
If I'm Yogi Ferrell, then Zach is like Jared Cunningham.
No, I'm more of like an Aaron Aflalo. Just instant money when you need it.
I don't know. Maybe Marcelo Huertas. I see a little Marcelo Huertas in you.
Nah, I'm more like a Steve Blake.
Steve Blake. Okay.
Jordan Farmar, maybe.
Let's go over to the Western Conference matchup for us. All of us have the same. It's going to be Thunder up against the T-Wolves in a rematch of the second round last year, right? Were these two teams that matched up last year?
Yes.
Timberwolves came out on top of that matchup last year, but obviously OKC is the heavily favorited ones this year. Where are you guys going here? Zach, I have a feeling, you've been standing this team all year long. I have a feeling I know where you're going.
What's understood doesn't need to be explained. This is the best team. I think they have the best depth, and I think they match up very, very, very well. I think they're just going to be a little overwhelming for the Timberwolves. So in the Western Conference Finals, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder beating the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6 games.
Cam, how do you feel? I know this is pretty tough for you. It's Aura versus Aura, and I know that's all you care about. So
he's so drippy.
Hold on.
Shea is drippy. I gotta be honest. When you collide two strong auras, you got to figure out who has the stronger aura. And, I think if he wins against Curry, his aura points will be maxed. Like he'll have too much aura for Shea, bro. You got
thinks
all
the NBA is an anime.
in your repertoire as too much power, bro. So because of that, I feel like in all serious though, I think this is going to be closer than what Zach is saying.
He said in 6.
I think it's going to be closer than what Zach is saying. I think it's going to be in 7. I really do. I think this is really going to be a series. I think this comes down to if we're going to see Julius Randle be able to impose his physicality and play within the offense well. Obviously, the Thunder were the number one ranked team on defense, but I think the Timberwolves have improved significantly in the postseason. Might be a little biased. I'm taking the Timberwolves in 7 over the OKC Thunder in the conference finals.
Wow.
Remember when remember the statement where he said, "I'm just happy I'm not going to get fried for bad takes," and then he just completely says that. Like, I thought you were trying to.
Knicks to the finals is way worse than Timberwolves to the finals. Ask anybody.
First off, they're up 1-0 in their series. So I definitely have a little bit of leeway on that since both of y'all picked Boston. They are losing in their series. I just do want to say that, but OKC
we all picked the Cavs. They're losing in their series too.
Yeah, but they're playing the Pacers. Like the Knicks.
Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back and hits the Indiana Pacers in a Game 2 stunner.
Like, the Knicks they're not they were up 20.
They did blow a 20
They were up 20 points.
They did. And I think that's why they're susceptible. I don't see it. I don't see it with the Timberwolves. I know like they were impressive beating the Lakers, but I think the Lakers had, as a Laker fan, I can say like they had deficiencies. They didn't have a center. They literally could not play Jackson Hayes, even though he was the only center they really could play. He was so bad. They started Dorian Finney-Smith at the end of the game. Like at the end of the series, they were only starting Dorian Finney-Smith. They played the entire 5-man lineup of LeBron, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Rui Hachimura for the entire second half of the game and still lost. I don't think this series win over the Lakers, and I'm saying this as a Laker fan, I don't necessarily think it's all that impressive to where it drastically changes what I think of the Timberwolves. I'm taking the Timberwolves over the Warriors because I think the Warriors also have their deficiencies. But I think this series of the Thunder versus the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, I think it's going to be a direct representation of what we saw all season long with the Thunder versus the field, versus the west of the versus the
you got it.
The West.
Versus the West of the versus the rest of the Western Conference versus the rest of the Western Conference. I think it's going to be OKC over the Timberwolves in 5 in the Western Conference Finals.
Wow.
I'm taking them in 5. I think I'm giving Ant respect by letting them get one game, but that is how much better I think the Thunder are than the Timberwolves, or really than any other team in the West. Whether this was the Warriors that they were playing, or whether this was, honestly, the Lakers, if the Lakers had gotten past the Timberwolves, or if this was the Rockets, if the Rockets had gotten past the Warriors, I would be saying this about really any team in the West.
I don't disagree with you. 5 is a little, that's a little risky. I could see it. I'm not mad at that. But if I had to play my cards a little bit safer, which is why that's why I went 6.
I can see the Thunder absolutely like destroying the Timberwolves, but I don't know, man. It's just something in my gut. I feel like the Timberwolves they're gonna take it, man.
I just had I don't even want to say the Jokers.
Oh, I know what you're gonna
say. I don't even want to say the Jokers so bad.
Yeah, Arman was gonna say he knows what, aka who's in your gut. When it came to that take,
it's Ant's pee-pee.
It's Anthony Edwards is in them guts. Is what it is. Yeah, I knew what you were gonna say.
Sick,
as soon as you said it and you laughed, I was like, he was gonna make the guts joke.
You're sick. You're sick.
I don't want to make the joke. Zach just read my mind. Okay.
You're sick. Both of y'all.
I am sick. I legitimately am sick.
You got a gut feeling.
You got a gut feeling about Anthony Edwards. So it seems like you always have gut feelings about Anthony Edwards, huh?
Is it you like that gut feeling?
TYG, man. TYG.
Yeah, but no, we don't trust who's in our guts. We trust our own. That's the difference between me and Arman. It's because we don't have people inside of them.
All right. Well,
anyways,
we all have different finals matchups. My finals matchup is going to be the Celtics against the OKC Thunder. Zach's is going to be the Thunder up against the Knicks. And Cam's is completely different from either of ours. It is going to be the Timberwolves up against the Cavaliers. Cam, since you're completely different from the rest, from either of us, why don't you tell us about who you think is going to win the NBA Finals this year.
They've got the offense, they've got the team, they've got the chemistry. My finals prediction is going to be the Cavaliers beating the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7. And he finally did it. He gets to the finals. He ascends. He makes it to the big stage, but it's not enough. The Cavaliers have too much depth. Their size, they have size and skill, something Rudy frankly lacks at this point in his career, if he ever had it. And because of that, and with Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter giving them support off the bench, I just can't see a reality in which the Cavaliers aren't able to get it done. That's why I have them winning in 7 games. Now, again, is it going to be a hard-fought series? Are they going to be scrappy and fighting for it? Obviously. But I think the Cavaliers are just the better team.
I think this is just what you want to happen because, number one, Timberwolves getting to the finals at all, a little bold. But also them pushing the Cavaliers to 7, very bold. You just want like the storyline for Anthony Edwards' career is what you're looking for.
And he wants a Cavaliers finals appearance so then he can be like, I told you, Mobley, look, he was just in the NBA finals.
Exactly.
He can fight your MVP.
Exactly. I think you're right, Zach. I think you're right. I mean,
man.
As far as like who you picked in the series, if this were to happen, I agree. I think the Cavaliers would beat the Timberwolves, but I think it would be more like in 5.
5.
Yeah, but no, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to be either team, either of those in the finals. I think, like I said, my finals matchup is the Celtics versus the Thunder. Very, not original. I understand this. It's the two teams that I think most people predict to get to the finals as it is right now. So I get it. It's unoriginal. I'm going to be even more unoriginal. I'm going to go with the OKC Thunder. My finals prediction is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 over the Celtics. I do think the finals experience that the Celtics have is going to push the series to a respectable length, to 6 or maybe even 7. I could see it going. But the reason I take in 6 and the reason I think the Thunder are going to win is just because the amount of talent that they have. Yes, the Celtics have a lot of talent and a lot of depth. Outside of Tatum and Brown. But you have the superstar in Shea, and then you just have players that complement him so incredibly well. And I think just J-Dub is so, by the NBA media and the casual NBA fan, I think he's so underrated still. Just from watching what he contributes to that team, I think he's going to break out in a big way in this finals run, and he's really going to get the respect that he deserves as like a legitimate number 2 to Shea. I won't make that a bold prediction because I don't think it's bold to say he'll cement himself as the number 2 over Chet, but maybe that's bold to some people, but I won't make that my prediction.
That is kind of bold.
Is it? I mean, if you want to take that as a bold prediction, I can, but I had some others that I was going to talk about. But to me, I think he does that in this playoff run, and I'm going to take the Thunder to overwhelm the Celtics, even though the Celtics have the playoff experience. Sure, Chet has injury concerns. So does Porzingis. They're kind of the same in where you can't really rely on either one to be consistent in the playoffs, to be consistent game to game and like actually be able to play in the game. I just think Shea brings so much more consistency offensively over, and I'm a Tatum respecter, don't get it twisted, but over what Tatum has shown some questionable, some questions about him in the playoffs especially. So I'm going to take the Thunder in 6.
Some questions? Or not being the Finals MVP? Are those some of the questions that were asked about Jason Tatum?
Actually, I actually think, and this is going to play into your hands really well, my second bold prediction that I had, and I forgot to mention it earlier when we were talking about the Eastern Conference Finals. My second bold prediction is that Derek White is going to be the Eastern Conference Finals MVP because of his defensive performance because I feel like he's going to be guarding Donovan Mitchell most of the time. And I think he'll put up, again, it's bold. I'm not saying it's like likely to happen. It's a bold prediction. 20 points per game. He'll average around 18 to 20, which is not unrealistic for what he did against the Magic in the series. I think he put up 17, 18. So I think if Tatum struggles as you expect him to do, and if Jaylen Brown isn't like this crazy superstar, I think legitimately they might give Derek White the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
You know what? I'm
not mad at that.
35% sure that you are right.
I'll take that.
I'm
I'll take 35%.
sure.
I'm not mad at that. He had 19 tonight. Brown and Tatum each had 23. I feel better about relying on Jaylen Brown to put up those points night in and night out versus Derek White. With that being said, we do all have different NBA Finals. My prediction for the NBA Finals is I have the Oklahoma City Thunder defeating the New York Knicks in 5 games. I think this could be, if this is the case, it's going to be it'll be a good game. I don't think there'll be 40-point blowouts. I think the Knicks are a better team than that to make it at least competitive, but no. I think that the Thunder will be able to handle them with relative ease. They do the same things. The Thunder just kind of do it a little bit better. I think this is their year. It would take a complete collapse for them to not be at least in the Western Conference Finals, and then, of course, to be in the NBA Finals. And if they do get there, they have, I think overall, they just have the better team versus anybody that they're matched up against. So I think this is a year for OKC to reach the mountaintop.
If in some reality, let's say Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both get hurt, and then the Knicks get past them, and then somehow in the matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals, Donovan Mitchell gets hurt, and that's how the Knicks get to the finals, I think it will be a blowout if it's the Thunder against the Knicks. You're probably right about it being in 5, but I think the games will be blowouts because you look at what happened this year when they played. The Knicks lost by 10 in their second matchup. In their first matchup, they lost by 10 to the Thunder. Second matchup, they lost by 25.
I think it changes a little bit more when you get into series and you get to, kind of just game plan around one team. Not saying they don't in the regular season, but you deal with injuries during regular season. You deal with the burnout. I think things kind of change a little bit when you get into the postseason, and now when you're honed in on one team in particular, like this is a win or go home situation, see a little bit of closer games in the same sense that Boston had some 30-point wins over New York in the regular season, and the Knicks were able to get a win game 1 of the postseason. I think it changes a little bit, but it'll probably be 10 to 12-point wins. I don't see any Memphis scores coming out of a Thunder Knicks series.
I do. If it were to get to that point, which it won't.
If it were, that's the big point. Yeah, I think
the Knicks are at 1-0. They're in a good spot.
They're in first, right?
They're at 1-0.
Well,
let's see how the rest of the series pans out.
I'm just saying they're at a good spot. This would be a lot different if they were down 1-0. Then I would be like, damn, okay, maybe I picked the wrong one. But I like the fact that they started up 1-0. It just makes me feel just one game better about the pick.
I'm glad it makes you feel better.
It makes me feel better about my N6 pick. Otherwise, if the Celtics won, I'd be a little worried about that. But so I already talked about, like we said, we were going to do bold predictions. I already said two of my 3 bold predictions. One was that Derek White wins Eastern Conference MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The second one was that the Knicks scapegoat Mikal Bridges when they lose the series, when they inevitably do. I think they'll scapegoat Mikal Bridges because of the expectations that's been put on his shoulders. My third bold prediction for these playoffs is that at some point in the series, when the Thunder and the Timberwolves match up, as we all agree will happen, Ant and Shea get into a fight. Whether it's just a scuffle, a little bit of pushing, we'll see. But I think tempers flare at some point in that series, and we get to see a little bit of aura versus aura in a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, they're going to be clashing.
Cameron he can't wait to watch his two favorite players all sweaty and touching each other. He can't wait.
Okay, all right, let's chill. Let's calm
He's gonna
down.
There's gonna be so much aura coming out of that fight that Cameron's gonna be down on the hardwood drinking their sweat. That's how much he's looking forward to that.
No, but my TV might be melting as I'm watching the game because the aura is just going to be coming out of the screen.
Cam wants Ant's secret stuff instead of MJ's. He wants he wants a bottle of Ant's secret stuff.
What's so secret about it?
Well,
I don't know.
One of my I don't know. Yeah, I said one of my bold takes. I don't know if it's as bold as Arman's, but like I said, I out of the series coming out now, while I did vote for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win the MVP, I do think that Nikola Jokic is going to have a better series. Now, that's simply because of what he's going to have to do in order to keep these games competitive. Is that a bold take? Don't know. And clearly, my second bold take is that I have the Knicks going to the NBA Finals. That is it a hot take? Yes. Do I believe it? Yes. And like I said, them going up 1-0 is just a little bit, I'm feeling one game better about the belief. Now, will that happen?
No.
Only Jalen Brunson gets to decide that. That's up to Jalen Brunson. That's not up to anybody else. That's up to JB if he wants to go off for 40. He shot 9 for 23 from the floor, and they had a 20-point comeback. Now, granted, Boston didn't shoot the ball very well. They'll be a little bit closer. I hope all of these games go into overtime so that Jalen Brunson can prove why he was the NBA Clutch Player of the Year. He's going to continue to do that.
Okay.
Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson taking the last shot. Give me Jalen Brunson 10 times out of 10.
I have a bold prediction. These playoffs will cement the fact that Tatum just isn't a superstar. He's just
Isn't a
not
superstar at all, huh?
at all.
What is a superstar to you? Is that like top 10?
No, there's not a number. Is a superstar is a person who can tremendously raise the floor of your team, but also the ceiling, and delivers in big moments. So I think Tatum is a guy who he can definitely raise the floor of your team, but I don't necessarily think he raises the ceiling entirely. I just don't think when it comes down to these crunch time moments, he's going to be the guy they're like, okay, yeah, we'll go to Tatum. He's going to bring us there. I don't know if he's that guy.
You think the only superstars in the league are who? Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Luka.
Shea, Giannis, Luka.
KD and
Ant.
KD and that's it. So Steph Curry is not a superstar?
No.
Oh.
Not anymore.
Your definition of superstar is like...
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
That's like, you can have a different distinction in superstar for like best players on the planet versus superstar. I think that you can have that distinction, but... I think the term superstar is just way too we're way too comfortable throwing that term out. And I feel like not every great player in the NBA is a superstar. Some are stars. With that.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Some are great. They can deliver. But I think going back to what we used to thought superstars were, superstars are LeBron, they're Jordan, they're Kobe, they're KG, they're Tim Duncan. These are the guys that they end up being all-time greats, right? Or at least fringe all-time greats. Charles Barkley, those type of guys
He's not
are
fringe.
superstars.
He's a legitimate all-time great. I don't know. I think you can be a superstar and not be like a future Hall of Famer. You can be a superstar of the moment. I think there are guys that are superstars. Well, the NBA is a little more lenient with guys that get into the Hall of Fame anyways. A lot of guys get into the Hall of Fame that maybe aren't all-time greats. But you can be a superstar of the moment and not a future all-time great thought of, right? I don't think necessarily people think of Tracy McGrady as an all-time great in NBA history. He was a superstar for a few years there. And maybe you can say the injuries are really the only thing that stopped him. But to me, I think I agree with you that superstar is too broadly used for a lot of players. But I do think that if you're like... It's general because it changes, right? But I think if you're around top 10, I would include Jalen Brunson in superstar alongside Jason Tatum, alongside Vic is pushing into that, right? I think alongside, obviously, no, I said Tatum already.
His name.
No, Devin Booker is not in there for me.
Yes, he is.
Like you were saying earlier, the cutoff is around Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell range. That is my cutoff, is around Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell range.
They're both superstars. They're both superstars.
But LeBron and Steph Curry are still superstars. And I think that's around where the cutoff is. But I think our it's pedantic because our definitions are just a little bit different, I guess, Cam.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit stricter with it because like I was saying, James Harden said it. He lied, but he was like, I am a system. And to me, that more so is a superstar, a guy who you can really run your identity of a team. You can run your team through that and you're gonna go far. It's gonna work out in your favor 9 times out of 10. And I only see about 5 to 6 players who can really ascend to that level.
I can see what you're saying because I do have a differentiation of like tiers of superstars where like I think of you as an arguably top 5 player. And to me, I think a championship team needs a player like that is in that echelon, which is why, Tatum is arguably on the fringe of that, which is why the Celtics won last year. That's why OKC is going to win this year, is because they have Shea. And, that's why I don't have your matchup, Cam, of the Cavs winning, because I don't, the Cavs don't have that.
The way I see the Cavaliers is similar to like the Pistons. And that won the championship with Chauncey. Like you have 4 really great guys that work in unison and are a really great team together, even though they don't have a set superstar.
But that's the thing is like, and I know we've talked about this before, but that has happened 3 times in 50 years where a team that didn't have like an arguably top 5 guy won a championship. It was the Pistons in 2004, it was the Spurs in 2014, and it was like the 79 Sonics. And that's been it. And with that Pistons team, it took a weird year of the Lakers really sleepwalking their way to the finals, and obviously Kobe and Shaq who were not getting along, and that just lack of chemistry being the reason they lost that series. That I'm not taking anything away from that Pistons team, but I guess I am a little bit. But unless something weird happens, it's usually the team with the superstar, your definition of superstar, that comes out on top.
I don't foresee them winning. It doesn't matter to me who comes out of the East. It's not even a bold take, but the Thunder are NBA champions. If the Pacers make it out, if the Cavs get there, if it's the Celtics, the Knicks, any team you want in the East lined up right now, the max it's going to is 6 games. I don't think any of those teams take OKC to 7. I don't think they have a problem with them at all, really.
That's a pretty bold take to say, like, in this time in the second round, nobody else has a chance. It is the Thunder's championship.
No. Then, mark that down as a bold take, and you can have me on record saying it. Your 2024-25 NBA champions are the Oklahoma City Thunder. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in the West with them right now. Their hardest competition is going to be in the West, and it's going to be against the Timberwolves in that Western Conference Finals. That is going to be the NBA Finals.
The 7 seed, that's going to be the NBA Finals? I mean, Cam must agree because he thinks the Timberwolves are going to take him out. So
again, you look at the 7 seed in the West and their regular season record, that'll get you the 4-5 seed in the East. Like, it's just tougher competition. I'm not going to base it off of their seeding. Same way I wasn't going to say that the Rockets should have beat the Warriors because it was a 2-7. Nobody cares about your regular season record once you get into the playoffs. It's all about the talent you have on the court. And the Timberwolves are more talented than the Warriors, but are not more talented than the Thunder. Whoever wins that series is going to be the champions, or it's going to be the NBA champions.
Okay. Well, that is our predictions. 2 of us have the Oklahoma City Thunder as your 2025 NBA champions. One of us has a different team. One of us has the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Either way, it's going to be a great playoff season. The first round was already really, really good. We got a bunch of really good playoff series. So I'm expecting more going forward. Really excited, especially for that Eastern Conference Finals. I think will be good because I clearly think it'll be the Celtics and the Cavs. So definitely looking forward to it, but we'll have to see if our predictions pan out or if we all look stupid.
One of us is bound to be good.
Yeah.
One of us is bound. Yeah. The variety. One of us is bound to hit.
Yeah.
And for y'all's sake, you better hope it's not the Knicks.
Well, none of us picked. It won't be. Yeah, it won't be. None of us picked the reigning champions, so that's a way we could all look dumb, is if the reigning champions just go back to back. But
nah. Sophomore slump.
All right. Hopefully, I get this up in a decent amount of time. I don't want this to be like a week after we recorded it, but we're recording this on May the 5th. So, depending on when this gets up, obviously our takes could look really bad or be looking good by the time I get it up. But hopefully, I get it up within a few days. All right. See you guys later. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Go check out our TikTok if you want short form content. Hit up the Discord if you want to talk with us, talk ball with us, keep up with the games going on over there. And We'll see you guys later. Oh, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're 9 subscribers away from 1,000. So please get us to that 1,000 mark.
Please. Please.
See you guys later.
Please.
Please.
Bye.